Wonder Woman 761, Mariko Tamaki writing with Carlo Barberi on the art. So this is, we had a cliffhanger last time. Matt wasn't here for the last issue. I assume you liked the ending of the last issue because it was great.
I did.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
Yeah, so we had Wonder Woman wake up, or she attacked a bunch of what she thought was parademons, and then woke up and realized, wait, these are all just soldiers. What have I done? And this issue deals with that directly, and really brings into the question that she can't trust what she's seeing. Because there's a point where she starts seeing Cheetah, and she's like, but she's having to stop and go, wait a minute, I can't trust this. I don't know if Cheetah's really standing there. Which then pays off in a great way, because Maxwell Lord actually is there. She's like, nah, are you really here? And it's like, yeah, he's really here. He's going to help us.
I did like that. She's the one that has to deal with truth, right? That's like her thing. And now she can't trust her own self.
Yeah.
And I love that combo.
I think that too.
In the story.
I think that the whole idea of it not being Lord behind everything, his text being used, because even she like uses the lasso on him and is making him like sort of say all this stuff, and he's being honest about it. He's like, hey, yes, I created all this stuff, but I'm not the one doing this. My stuff's been used. More
on Suicide Squad later.
The
fact that we're getting a double turn with these characters not lost on me.
Yeah, it does solidify some continuity stuff, because we mentioned, I think we mentioned when he first showed up, the last couple of times we saw him was in No Justice and Justice League vs. Suicide Squad, and it actually directly references that here, where basically he made a choice to stop trying to control people, because he's through No Justice and the breaking of the Source Wall, he saw it was futile, so he just gave up.
However, he still tried to. OMAC is still continuity, and he's still trying to weaponize individuals to kill superheroes. So I don't trust you, Max Lord.
He's still Max Lord, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's squeaky clean. That's not. No. Otherwise.
But still, him thinking that it's futile, I was like, sure you do.
At one point she sees him with like Ares' helmet on, and all sorts.
It was a pretty cool showcase for the artist to deal with a bunch of different Wonder Woman villains, which is always cool.
Barberi was on Super Sun, some Super Sun stuff at one point. That's where I kind of remember this art from. It's not as good as Yanin, I don't think.
Well, yeah.
I do think it's pretty good, though. I do think the art is good, although...
I'm not a fan.
You're not a fan? I do think occasionally, I think the full page early on, where Wonder Woman's face is like most of the page, I do think her face looks a little bit like it's all sort of narrow and in the middle.
There's a lot of that squashed face syndrome in this that I don't really like. Honestly, a big part of this is but just on the background, double shipping is terrible right now for artists, and it completely kills the flow of stories. It's fine when I'm swapping artists arc by arc. I can kind of live with that. But, we got 2 issues of Janet, and then we're on to something else in the middle of the story. I'm struggling. I'm struggling with this as a way of getting into the story. It's kind of taking me out. And Barberi here, it's not terrible, but it hasn't got. It's lost all of the impact in the pacing that Janin had. There's no really strong layouts. There's no border work. There's nothing. It's lost all of the art flair that made this book what it was. And I still like the writing. I think the ideas are still solid and the dialogue's solid. But it's lost all of that presentation flair that made this book so enjoyable for me for the first 2 issues. And it's left me quite disappointed by this one.
I'm just smirking to myself a little bit that we spoke for a couple of minutes at the setting up what the book was. And the first thing Carter said was a little rant about the thing he doesn't like.
I mean, it's quite a big thing when it's not just. I'm not nitpicking a moment here. I'm talking about as a whole.
Oh no, I get it. I get it. I almost want to start keeping track of how often like we'll go into a book and I'll set it up with kind of a positive. Here's what the book is, and it does these things well, and it's just good. And then over to Connor for the negative spin.
I am disappointed. This is a disappointing week for me so far.
It's not as good as Jan's are. I completely agree. I think some of the pages look good though. I love her flying with the plane and all that stuff towards the end.
But now that Connor mentioned the squash face thing, I'm kind of like, damn it, now that's all I can see. So thanks for ruining it.
No, I always saw that, but it was kind of thing where I do think the art overall looks pretty good. It's a bit cartoonier than what Yanni was doing, for sure. But I love this. It's like
it's not even just the style that I can get past. It's the pacing and the layout of it, and all the little flair that it had that's gone.
It feels like this one. That's supposed to be like an action, Matt. Jesus Christ. So there's a subplot throughout the issue though with this general or whoever it is.
Formerly retired Marine.
Yeah,
I think. It was.
He's basically he's being controlled like the other characters have been controlled, and he's basically got in and it's he's going to launch. Was it a nuke or something in Arizona? Yeah. So Wonder Woman and that race off towards the end. They've figured out that it's a phone app that's actually doing this. Like, so if someone takes a selfie or whatever with this app, then that's the back door. The end of this issue does reveal who is behind everything, and it's a villain that was spoiled. Not exactly who she is. Well, maybe that was in solicits. I just didn't read it. But the fact that there was a villain was spoiled beforehand. Connor brought it up in the last issue, but it's the neighbor. It was
all in solicits as to who she was.
Was it? So I never saw who she was. So I actually, the fact that she's Maxwell Lord's daughter was a genuine surprise to me here at the end of this.
Me too.
And I'm surprised that I am not upset at. I will say.
No.
I like it more than just random person next door as a villain.
No, and I like it that it's almost inverse of Kale. That Kale was the main enemy, yet Diana wanted to do good by her daughter, and through the Rucka stuff, and now the daughter's the villain, and Diana's gonna want to do good by Max Lord, despite everything that he's done. So I kind of like that little wrinkle in this.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think I kind of spoke about it last issue. I like that addition of her being the door and that thematic link there. I'm just disappointed about not having the human supporting cast that I thought we were getting.
We may still get that.
I was so excited about that in the first issue. If you go back and listen, I'm sure that was like one of the big things for me.
I do think Tamaki
losing that is just disappointing.
I do think Tamaki knows what she's doing though, because there's a line earlier on where Diana's like, "Oh, I was trying to find my neighbor to make sure she's okay." That sets up the sting of this at the end a little bit, which I think works well. So,
I complain about Max Lord and all the stuff and Diana, but Diana really is the most forgiving. Like, look at most of her villains, is that she ends up trying to be friends with them, whether it's Giganta, Veronica, Silver Swan.
I would
Cheetah.
Yeah,
like you can't. Why not add Max Lord to that?
Well, you can't really count Lord in this shit because the entire time she's like, "I don't trust you. You're evil. It doesn't matter what he says."
Right, but it's on brand for the character. It's not like Superman and Lex and Batman and all of his. Like, she is she's a goddess, right? She tries to see the best in everybody, and it usually bites her in the butt. So, no, something that I thought I would complain about, but it actually, when you think about the grand scheme of the character, it checks out.
Yeah. So no, actually, the fact that it's the daughter is the villain and not just not a random neighbor, it makes it a bit more compelling for me.
I will say, given that she's, her name is Liar Liar, is a villain name, I think. So it says that at the bottom next. Not the best name, I'll be honest with you. But I like the idea of using the Odysseus branch of Lord's company, and that's the branch, because Odysseus' whole thing is he's a terrible liar and trickster. Like that's how he does everything. So I kind of like that.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So.
Nice player there.
Yeah, I mean, I think this issue was quite quick to talk about because a lot of it in the middle was Maxwell Lord explaining stuff, and it's Wonder Woman seeing Cheetah and doubting herself. It's kind of an excuse for the artist to go kind of nuts and draw a lot of big Wonder Woman and Justice League stuff. I will say, in the page where it was doing the Justice League Suicide Squad stuff, seeing Jessica Cruz at the top made me like, oh, I want a Jessica Cruz in a book again.
Hey,
a good book.
Those Odyssey characters are gonna be appearing in the Death Metal tie-in, so
by the end of title is basically dead or soon to be. So it frees them up.
So it's hopefully soon.
Well, that's what I mean, though, is that, and we have Williamson writing that one for the Death Metal tie-in. So maybe by the end we'll be back, because I want Corey back too.
Yeah,
so
get him a Green Lantern Corps. book.
Yep. Just a space book. Just give me all my space characters, one area. It's fine.
Yeah. So Matt, what are you giving Wonder Woman 761?
I'm gonna give this one a 7.
That's fair, Connor.
6 from me.
I'm also going to go with the 7. I do think it's the weakest issue so far. Although I do think it's maybe paced a little bit better than issue 2. I think issue 2 really benefited from that back, like sort of third, that the big reveal really like elevating the whole issue. But obviously the art's not as good in this one. I like everything that's setting up though, so enjoying the run still. So I'll give it a. I'll also give it a 7.